I woke up before my alarm that morning, and I swear something inside me already felt heavy. I just lay there staring at the ceiling, hoping the weird feeling would go away. It didn't. When I heard footsteps downstairs, I forced myself out of bed and walked toward the kitchen. Dad stood near the counter, humming like he always did when he was excited. He was pouring coffee and packing a small travel bag. Mom sat at the table, scrolling her phone with this strange half-smile that didn't reach her eyes. Dad looked up and grinned. "Morning, champ. Big day, huh?" "Yeah," I said, rubbing my eyes. "You ready for the trip?" He laughed. "I've been ready since last week. Feels like we're teenagers again. Second honeymoon." "Can you believe it?" I smiled, but something inside me twisted. "Yeah, sounds great." Mom didn't look up. Her fingers tapped the screen fast, like the phone was the only thing that mattered. Dad reached for her hand, and she pulled it away gently like she didn't notice. But I noticed. I always notice things like that. Dad didn't react. He just kept packing snacks, humming like the whole world was sunlight. I wished I could be that blind in a good way. I wished I could pretend everything was fine. Ava walked in, rubbing her eyes. "Are you guys leaving soon?" she asked, voice sleepy. Dad knelt and hugged her. "We'll be back before you know it." She hugged him tight. Too tight. "Promise?" "I promise, kiddo." Mom finally put her phone down, but only for a second. "We'll call," she said flatly. Ava turned to me and whispered, "Do you think Mom still loves Dad?" My chest squeezed. "Yeah," I said softly. "Of course!" But my voice shook just enough that Ava's eyes filled with worry. Dad didn't hear us. He walked to Mom and wrapped his arms around her from behind. She stiffened like someone dropped ice down her shirt. He didn't seem to feel it. He kissed the side of her head and she forced a smile that looked painful to watch. "I've missed this," he whispered to her. She didn't answer. He looked at me then. "Ethan, make sure to look after your sister, okay?" "Man of the house." "Yeah," I nodded. "I got it." He smiled proudly, like I said something brave. Mom stood and grabbed her purse. "Let's just go," she said. Something about her voice felt sharp. Dad didn't notice. He grabbed the bags and headed out the door. Ava followed him to the driveway, still clinging to his hand. I walked with them, pretending my stomach wasn't in knots. Dad turned to me as he loaded the bags into the trunk. "You okay, son?" "You look tired." "I'm fine," I said. "Just big week coming at school." He ruffled my hair. "You'll be great." "You always are." Mom opened the passenger door but paused and said, "We should hurry. We don't want to miss the flight." Dad nodded. Right. "Excited, huh?" he said, smiling at her again, searching her face for something. "Comfort, maybe. Love." I didn't see either there. Ava hugged Mom. "Have fun," she whispered. Mom hugged her back, but it was short. When I stepped forward, she hugged me too, but it felt like hugging someone already halfway gone. She pulled away first. "See you," she said, eyes already drifting back to her phone. Dad hugged me tight. "Love you, son." "Love you too, Dad," I whispered. "Be safe." His reply cracked my heart open. "Best week of our lives, right?" He winked. I forced a laugh. "Yeah, best week." He climbed in the driver's seat. Mom typed something fast on her phone. The screen lit up her face and she smiled, but not at him. Not at us. As they drove off, Dad was still waving happily. Mom didn't look back once. I stood there in the driveway until the car disappeared. Ava tugged my sleeve. "Why do I feel scared?" she whispered. I swallowed hard. "I don't know," I lied. "They'll be fine." But deep down, I felt like a rope in my chest had just snapped, and I didn't know how to tie it back. We went inside. The house felt too quiet, like all the laughter had packed its bags and followed them. I sat on the couch staring at the wall. Ava sat beside me, hugging her knees. "Ethan," she whispered, "what if something bad happens?" I forced a calm breath. "Nothing bad is happening." She looked at me with big, worried eyes. "Promise?" I hesitated. Just 1 second. One tiny second. But she saw it. That fear in my eyes. "I promise," I said finally, voice small. She nodded and leaned on my shoulder. I held her close and stared at the silent doorway. I should have hugged Dad longer. I should have asked Mom why she felt so far away. Instead, I sat in that quiet house feeling something I couldn't explain, like the life I knew was already slipping through my fingers, and I didn't even know why, but I would. Soon too. Soon. And nothing would ever feel safe again. I sat on the couch doing nothing when I heard the front door open. It slammed a little and I froze. They were home already. 3 days early. My heart jumped into my throat as I stood up. Ava rushed from her room before I did. "Mom? Dad?" she called, voice hopeful. Dad stepped in first. He looked tired, like sleep had fought him every night. But he smiled anyway. "Hey, kids." "We're home," I swallowed hard. "You're early. Everything okay?" He nodded. Yeah, just thought we'd come back." His voice shook like a loose window in the wind. Then Mom walked in behind him. I swear the air changed. She didn't smile. She didn't even look at us. She just placed her bag down and rubbed her temples like being home hurt. Ava hugged Dad tight. "I missed you so much." He hugged her back gently. "Missed you too, sweetheart." Mom kept staring at the floor. I forced a smile and stepped toward her. "Hey, Mom, how was the trip?" She lifted her head slowly. Her eyes were blank. "Fine, just that. One word, no warmth, no emotion." Like she was answering a stranger. Dad leaned toward her to kiss her cheek. She flinched. Actually flinched away. My stomach twisted so hard I felt dizzy. "What's wrong?" Dad whispered. "Nothing," she said too fast. "I'm tired." Ava looked at me, eyes wide. I didn't know what to say, so I just reached for her hand. We sat for dinner an hour later. Mom barely touched her fork. Dad kept trying to talk. "Remember that beach restaurant? The one with the candles? That was beautiful, right?" Mom didn't look up. "It was fine," he blinked. "Fine?" She sighed like the sound of his voice annoyed her. "I said it was fine," Ava frowned. "Mom, why are you talking like that?" Mom didn't answer. She just stared at her plate. I cleared my throat. "Mom, is everything okay?" She finally looked at me, but her eyes felt like glass. Cold. Hard. "I just need space." Dad froze. "Space?" "Yes," she snapped. "I need space. I need time. I need quiet." Ava's fork dropped. "Mom, did something happen?" "Nothing happened," she snapped again. "Stop asking questions." Dad's voice broke a little. "We went there to fix things." "I thought you said, I don't want to talk about it," she cut in sharply. "Please." Silence dropped like a weight. Ava sniffed and wiped her eyes. I clenched my fists under the table. My voice shook. "You came home early. You won't look at us. You're acting like you don't even know us." Mom pushed her chair back suddenly. "I'm tired. I'm going to rest." Dad stood up. "Wait, Lydia, please. Talk to me." She grabbed her bag and walked away. No hug, no glance. Just gone down the hall, Ava burst into tears. "She's mad at us. We did something." I wrapped my arm around her. "No, we didn't. I swear." Dad stared at the hallway like it was a tunnel he might fall into. "I don't know what I did. I don't understand." "Dad," I whispered, "maybe she just needs a day." He didn't look convinced. He just nodded slowly. That night, the house felt colder than ever. After Ava fell asleep, I walked downstairs to grab water. I heard a sound outside. I pushed the kitchen door open a little and saw Dad sitting on the back steps in the dark. He had his face in his hands. "What did I do wrong?" he whispered to himself. "What changed?" My chest tightened so much I had to bite my tongue. I wanted to go to him. I wanted to fix everything. But I didn't know how. I felt like a kid pretending to be strong. I whispered through the door, "Dad?" He wiped his eyes fast and forced a smile. "Hey, buddy. Couldn't sleep?" "No," I said quietly. "Neither could you," he chuckled weakly. "Guess not. Dad, did something happen there?" He stared at the darkness. "I don't know. I thought we were good. I thought we were healing." I stood beside him. "Maybe tomorrow will be better." He didn't answer. He just nodded, eyes lost. When I went back upstairs, I passed the guest room. The door was closed. Light peeked from the bottom. She was inside, sleeping in there, not next to him. I went to my room and sat on the bed, whispering to no one. Something happened. Something big. The walls felt heavy. The house felt wrong. I hugged my pillow like it might stop the ache in my chest. I lay there awake for hours, listening to the house breathe like it was trying not to cry. I kept replaying her face, his voice, Ava's tears. Something broke tonight. I didn't know what it was, but I knew it wasn't small, really. I woke up to the sound of the shower running. My chest already felt tight, like I knew something awful was about to happen. Mom's phone buzzed on the counter, and I thought it was Dad's at first. I picked it up without thinking. Ava was in the living room watching TV, and I just wanted to put the phone on silent so it wouldn't wake her. Then I saw the name Daniel, and the message flashed, "I miss holding you." My heart stopped. My hands shook. I felt like the floor moved. My mom's phone. That name, that message. Every breath hurt. I stared at the words like they were knives. The shower shut off. I could hear her humming. I wanted to throw the phone, but I couldn't move. She walked out a minute later, towel around her hair, looking like nothing was wrong. "Hey," she said, grabbing another towel. "What's up?" I held the phone in my hand. "Who is Daniel?" She froze. Her face changed in 1 second like a mask falling. Then she forced a smile. "Daniel?" she repeated. "Just a friend," I shook my head. "He texted you. He said he misses holding you." Her eyes went cold. "Give me my phone." "No," I said. "What did you do? What did you do to Dad?" "Ethan," she snapped, "you are a child." "Give me my phone. I'm not a child." "Yes, you are. You don't understand adult things." I felt heat in my chest. "You cheated on him." "Stop," she whispered, eyes wide with anger. "You don't know anything." "Then tell me." She reached for the phone and I stepped back. "Ethan, give it." "No." She raised her voice. "Give me my phone." "What's going on?" Dad's voice came from the doorway. He looked between us, confused and worried. I held the phone toward him. "She got a message." Mom snatched it from my hand like it was a weapon. Dad raised an eyebrow. "From who?" "Someone from the trip," she said quickly. "Just a friend," I shook my head. "He said he missed holding her." Dad's face went white. "What?" Mom glared at me. "You should have minded your own business." "This is my family," I shouted. "How is this not my business?" Dad's voice was barely a whisper. "Is it true?" Mom looked away. "I'm not having this conversation." "I deserve happiness." Dad stumbled back like she hit him. "Happiness?" "I've been miserable," she said. "You never listen." You left me," he whispered. "You promised you'd try." "We went there to fix things." "I tried," she snapped. "But I'm done." Ava ran down the stairs, crying. "What's happening?" "Why are you fighting?" Mom didn't look at her. "I'm leaving." Dad grabbed her arm gently. "Wait, please," she pulled away. "I need space. I need to breathe." "You're breaking us," I said. "No," she said coldly. "I'm saving myself," Ava screamed. "Don't go!" Mom walked to the door. "I can't stay here right now." Dad's voice cracked. "Lydia, please." She opened the door. Cold air rushed in. She didn't look back. She just left. Ava fell to her knees, crying so hard it hurt to hear. I felt my legs give out and sat on the floor. Dad pressed his hand to his mouth like he was trying not to shatter. Ava sobbed, "Why? Why did she leave? What did we do?" "You didn't do anything," I whispered. Dad sat beside us. I should have been enough. Dad sat at the kitchen table with his head in his hands. I watched him, my chest tight and my palms shaking. The house felt like it was holding its breath, like the walls knew something was about to break again. "Dad," I whispered. "We can talk to her, right? Maybe she just needs time?" He looked up slowly, eyes red, voice barely holding. "I already tried." "She won't talk to me, son. She's already somewhere else." "Somewhere else?" I repeated. "She's here. She lives here," he shook his head. "Her heart doesn't." Hearing that felt like someone pulled the floor from under me. I swallowed hard. "Then fight. Don't let her just walk away." "I tried," he whispered. I begged. The door opened and Mom walked in with a suitcase in each hand. My stomach dropped so fast I felt dizzy. "You're leaving?" I asked, voice cracking. She didn't look at me. "I told your father. I can't stay in a place that kills me inside." Dad stood, voice trembling. "Please don't do this." "We can fix—" "There's nothing to fix," she snapped. "I don't love you anymore." The words hit him like a punch. They hit me too. I couldn't breathe. "You don't mean that," Dad said, desperate. "You're upset." "We can talk—" "No," she cut him off. "I found someone who understands me." I felt my vision blur. "Daniel?" I whispered. She froze. Dad's head snapped toward me. "Daniel, who the hell is Daniel?" Mom glared at me. "You shouldn't have gone through my phone." "You shouldn't be cheating." I shot back. "Stop!" Dad whispered, voice cracking. "Just stop. We can fix this." "No," she repeated, calm and cold. "I'm choosing my happiness. What about ours?" I said, "What about me? What about Ava?" She finally looked at me, and somehow that hurt more than when she ignored me. "You'll understand one day." "No," I whispered. "I won't." Dad reached for her. "Please don't go," she stepped back. "Goodbye." The door closed behind her. The sound echoed through the house like a final heartbeat. Dad didn't move. He just stared at the door like if he waited long enough, she'd come back. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to breathe. My hands shook and my throat felt too tight to even cry. "She'll come back," Ava whispered behind me. "She always comes back after a fight." I turned. Her eyes were wide, scared. "Ava, she will," she insisted, voice trembling. Dad finally sat back down, but this time he didn't cry. He didn't say anything. He just stared blankly, like his soul had left with her. 2 days passed. 2 days of silence. 2 days of pretending everything wasn't falling apart. Then in the morning, I heard a crash. I ran to the living room and saw Dad on the floor, pale and shaking. "Dad!" I yelled. "Dad, wake up!" Ava screamed. My heart beat so fast it hurt. I grabbed the phone, calling an ambulance with hands that barely worked. At the hospital, lights were too bright, voices too sharp. Doctors moved around him like time was running out. I held his hand. "Please don't leave too, please." Ava cried into my shoulder. I felt like I was holding the world together with trembling fingers. A nurse came over, gentle voice cutting through the chaos. "He's alive. We're stabilizing him. Emotional stress can do this." I nodded, but I couldn't speak. The air felt thick. She placed a hand on my arm. "Some wounds are not on the body." Her name tag said Julia. I tried to thank her, but the words stuck. Ava whispered, "Is he going to die?" "No," I said quickly. "No, he's strong." But inside, I wasn't sure. I felt like I was lying to both of us. Hours passed. I sat beside his bed, holding his hand, listening to machines beep like desperate heartbeat replacements. I didn't cry. I couldn't. It felt like crying would make everything too real. When Julia checked on us again, she said softly, "You don't have to be strong every second." "I do," I whispered. "Someone has to." She nodded like she understood pain too well. When Dad finally opened his eyes, weak but alive, relief hit me so hard my knees almost gave out. "I'm here," I whispered. "We're here." He squeezed my hand, just once. But it was enough. In that moment, I understood something terrifying. I didn't get to fall apart. Not now, not ever. If I broke, everything else would too. I had to carry us, even if it crushed me. I sat there in that cold room, staring at the faint rise and fall of his chest, and I made a promise. I would not let this destroy us. I would not let her choice take everything. I didn't care how much it hurt. I didn't care if my own heart felt like it was tearing apart every second. I would be the one who held what was left of this family together. I had to be. I couldn't let him fall again. I couldn't let myself fall either. Okay. I woke up to the sound of my alarm, and for a second I wanted to smash it against the wall. Nothing had stopped hurting, but the world had. School, bills, life, they didn't care about my broken heart. I dragged myself out of bed and found Ava already sitting at the kitchen table, coloring. "Morning, Ethan," she said quietly. "Dad's still sleeping." I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. "I'll make breakfast." She looked up at me. "Do you miss Mom?" I froze. My chest felt like lead. "Ava, I swallowed and shook my head. "We don't talk about that, okay?" She nodded and went back to her coloring, but I could feel her eyes on me. Later that morning, Mrs. Parker, our neighbor, knocked on the door. Her eyes were sharp, like she already knew everything. "Ethan, dear," she said, stepping in. "I don't mean to pry, but I saw your mother before she left meeting a man at the cafe." "I thought you should know." My stomach twisted. You saw her?" "Yes, she seemed happy, laughing." I felt my face heat up. Stupid. How could I not see it? All the signs. The distance. The way she kept checking her phone. All of it. She didn't love Dad anymore, I whispered. She was pretending. Mrs. Parker patted my shoulder. "Pain shows itself differently in every family, Ethan. Don't let it define you." I nodded, though it didn't help. School that day was worse. Whispers followed me through the hallways. Kids stared, pretending not to. I kept my head down, but every glance felt like a blade. Coach Ryan called me into his office. "Ethan," he said, his voice low. "Sit." I obeyed. He leaned back, eyes serious. "Pain shapes men or destroys them. You choose." I clench my fists. "I want to protect my family. I want to be strong for them." He nodded. "Good. That's all you need to decide. Nothing else matters right now." After school, Mark, my friend, caught me at the corner by the park. "Hey man," he said. "You look dead inside. Come on." "Let's talk." I shook my head. "I don't want to talk. Everything hurts." He grabbed my shoulder. "Exactly, so talk. Get it out." "I'm not going anywhere." For hours, we sat on that park bench, late night lights buzzing above us. I told him everything, all the anger, the fear, the betrayal. He listened without interrupting. By the time we left, I felt a little lighter. When I got home, Aunt Grace was waiting. She pulled me into a hug before I could even speak. "Oh, Ethan," she whispered. "You're like breaking glass in my hands." "It's okay to cry." I cried anyway. Silent tears into her shoulder, finally letting some of the weight go. Dad was sitting in the living room, looking pale but steady. I went to him. I'm going to be okay," I said, though my chest felt empty. He reached for my hand. "We'll get through this together. You, me, Ava. Just promise me you'll stay strong." "I promise," I said, though my voice cracked. Days blurred. Mom didn't call. She didn't text. Her silence was a presence that haunted the house more than her words ever did. I hated it. I wanted to scream at her phone, throw it against the wall, demand answers. But I didn't. Instead, I chose to focus on the people who stayed. Ava laughed a little when I played board games with her. Dad smiled sometimes when I helped him with bills or groceries. Aunt Grace made dinner for us when the house felt too quiet. Mark's late-night talks reminded me I wasn't alone. I learned to cook scrambled eggs, rice, sandwiches, anything to keep the house running. I walked Ava to school and back, carrying her backpack when it got too heavy. I went to the supermarket, balancing our groceries like it was a ceremony of survival. Every night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about Mom. The words she never said echoed louder than any message. Her laughter in my memory, her cold silence now, it all mixed into a sharp pain. But I held it back. One evening, Dad asked me, "Do you feel stronger yet?" I shrugged. "I think so. I have to be. Someone has to hold this family together." He nodded, eyes soft. "Good." That's all I needed to hear. Ava crawled into my bed that night, whispering, "You're my hero, Ethan." I hugged her tight, smelling her hair, and whispered back, "No, kiddo. You're my reason." I realized something then. Life didn't stop, even when my world fell apart. Pain came, betrayal came, heartbreak came, but I could choose how to live through it. I would grow tougher, fight for my family, and survive. Even if inside, I felt like I was dying. Even if inside, I felt broken beyond repair. I chose to keep moving, because the world wouldn't wait for me to heal, and neither could I. The knock came late afternoon, soft but deliberate. I froze, my chest tightened. Weeks had passed since Mom left. Weeks of silence, of Dad trying to patch the holes in his heart, of Ava hiding under blankets when she thought no one was looking. "She's here," Dad said, voice low. I felt my stomach drop. "I'll see her," I said, though every part of me screamed not to. I opened the door. Mom stood there, hair pulled back, a faint smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Hi," she said, voice cautious. "Can we talk?" I didn't answer. I just stepped aside. She walked in, eyes scanning the living room, and froze. Dad sat on the couch, thin, pale, a shadow of himself. You look," she faltered. "Worse?" Dad said, his voice weak but steady. She shook her head. "No, I didn't realize." I stood behind him, arms crossed. "What are you doing here?" "I just wanted to talk. To see you." "All of you," she said, glancing at Ava, who hugged my leg tightly. I kept my eyes on her. "You left. Weeks ago." "I know," she said softly. I just needed, I don't know. Time, space. You have space," I said quietly. "You have time. You chose him. Not us." Her hand lifted like she wanted to touch my shoulder. I stepped back instinctively. "Ethan, she tried." Her voice broke. "I just feel trapped here." "Everything is suffocating." I didn't mean for things to go so far. I held up a hand. Don't, just don't. You left. You said you needed happiness. You found it. Go. She blinked at me, confusion and shock crossing her face. She didn't expect me to say that. She didn't expect me to close the door. I wanted to fix things, she said, voice trembling. Some things aren't yours to fix anymore, I said. We're done waiting for you. We're done hoping you'll change your mind. Her lips quivered. She looked at Dad, who was still sitting, frail but steady. His eyes met mine. No pleading. No breaking. Just a quiet strength I hadn't noticed before. I need to go, she said finally. She turned and walked toward the door, her steps hesitant. She paused. Ethan, Ava, we didn't respond. She left. The door clicked shut behind her. Silence fell. Heavy, final, but not suffocating this time. I felt the tension leave my shoulders like water draining from a cup. Dad exhaled slowly, a weak laugh escaping him. You did good, son. I sat down beside him. I didn't feel good. You held the line, he said. You kept us safe even when it hurt. That's what matters. I nodded, feeling something shift inside me. Weeks of fear, of anger, of endless waiting had hardened into something else. Strength. Not cruel strength, not the kind that hurts, but the kind that protects. Ava crawled onto the couch beside me, hugging my arm. You're like Dad now, she whispered. I looked at her, and for the first time in a long time I felt it. Control. Not over her, not over Dad, but over myself. Over my choices. Over my family's safety. Mom wouldn't come back. She had her world, her happiness. That was her choice. We had ours, and this time, we weren't broken. I squeezed Ava's hand and said softly, We're okay now. Dad leaned back, eyes closing for a moment. Yeah, we're okay, because you made it so. I stared at the quiet house, the light fading outside, and for the first time I believed it. We could survive. We would survive, even after everything, even after her. I had grown stronger, and no one would make me feel small again. Months passed and life began to feel different. Not perfect, not easy, but stable in a way I hadn't thought possible. Dad smiled more now, though his laugh was still quiet, careful. He cooked breakfast sometimes, even made pancakes for Ava on weekends. Small victories, but they counted. Ethan, he said one morning, flipping pancakes. You're getting too good at this. I grinned. I learned from the best, Dad. Ava rolled her eyes. Stop lying. I help too. You do, kiddo, I said, ruffling her hair. She giggled, a sound that felt like sunlight after a long winter. Aunt Grace came by every week, bringing groceries, baked goods, and hugs that felt like they could hold the entire house together. You two are surviving, she said one afternoon. Not just surviving, thriving in your own way. I smiled at her, feeling the weight in my chest ease just a little. We're trying. I worked part-time at the corner store, juggling homework, bills, and family. I felt tired most nights, but it was a different kind of tired, one earned, not imposed. I protected what was left of our family like it was precious glass. Because it was. One afternoon, I walked into the grocery store checking my list when I saw her. Mom, alone, tired-looking, like life had pulled the color out of her. Her hair fell in loose strands, her bag slung over one shoulder. She looked up at me and I felt her eyes linger like she wanted to say something. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I just nodded politely. She blinked. Her lips pressed together, a small, uncertain line. Then she looked away. I walked past her without a word. No anger, no hatred, no need for revenge, just peace. Ava was waiting outside. She waved when I came out. I grabbed her hand and smiled. Let's go home. At home, Dad was reading the newspaper. He looked up, eyes catching mine. I shrugged. Just a normal day. He nodded, quiet pride in his eyes. Normal's good. I helped Ava with homework at the kitchen table, guiding her through multiplication problems, listening to her chatter about friends and school. Life felt ordinary, and yet that ordinariness was precious. Some nights I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, thinking about Mom. The hurt she caused, the betrayal, the silence. But it didn't feel sharp anymore. It didn't burn the way it did at first. Pain had shaped me, yes, but it hadn't destroyed me. I remembered the knocks, the yelling, the hospital lights, Ava crying into my shoulder, Dad whispering that he needed me. I remembered every moment I chose to stand instead of fall, to protect instead of rage. Every moment had built me. She left searching for something she couldn't find here. I whispered to myself. But we stayed, and we found what matters. Dad called from the living room. "Ethan, come help me with this shelf." I stood, taking Ava's hand. "Be right there, kiddo." As we worked together, stacking books and straightening the living room, I felt a quiet pride. Not just for the work, but for everything we'd survived, for everything we'd endured. Pain had bent us, yes, but we hadn't broken. We had learned to stand again, stronger than before. Ava leaned against me, yawning. "We're like superheroes, aren't we?" I smiled down at her. "Yeah, kiddo. We're superheroes, the kind that stay." Dad looked at us from the sofa, faint smile tugging at his lips. "The strongest kind," he said softly. I nodded. "The kind that keep going, no matter what." Outside, the world went on, busy and loud, oblivious to our quiet victories. And I realized something powerful. Life hadn't stopped. It never had. But surviving it, protecting the people who matter, and finding strength in the pieces left behind, that was ours. That was ours to claim. Mom had walked away searching for love. We stayed, and in staying we became stronger. Some families break. Ours bent, but we learned how to stand again, and for the first time in months I felt whole.